Hey everyone, Rob from Southgate Media Group here. Before we get started with this podcast, we have a quick message. If this is your first time checking out the show, we love that you found us and we really hope you enjoy it. What we have to say is for the subscribers. If you enjoy our shows, would you please donate to help keep these going? We don't want to have to put traditional ads on these shows, but this does cost money. So we really do rely heavily on donations. To make a donation to the show, please go to our website, www.southgatemediagroup.com. Go to the page for the show, and in the upper right-hand corner is a donate button. It takes you right to PayPal, and you can donate whatever amount you want. Thanks a lot for listening, everybody. And now, on with the show.
Welcome to Before the Bat, the Gotham podcast. I am Phil, and, well, Kelly and Tyler are on here right now because what you are about to listen to is an interview we did with Mr. Todd Stashwick, who you'll know from, well, a lot of things, but for our purposes, he played Roman Sionis in the episode Mask of Gotham, and, well, fun and hilarity ensued, so take a listen.
Hey.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey.
Sorry, we had some problems tonight. Technical difficulties, plus two of us were doing another show with a very,
Talkative.
verbose.
I get
Yeah,
it.
that's a good word. Yes.
No worries.
All right.
No worries.
I'm excited to do this interview.
Oh, good. Me too.
Yeah, like, I saw that message that Phil sent this morning. I was like, for real? I have a friend I tried to get a hold of. She loved your work on The Riches.
Oh, that's very kind.
She would always message me, and I remembered you first from your role on Supernatural, which is one of my favorite shows. When you
yes.
in black and white episodes, one of my favorite episodes, period.
Do you know
So
how
I was
hard
like-
it was to act in black and white?
I'll bet.
Special skill.
There you go.
All
I
right.
have to tap back to the old-timey acting.
Yes. Chewing
Kelly-
up some scenery.
Kind of like Bones this week. The whole
I've never seen that show.
50s noir this episode.
Oh, what fun.
Yeah, it was a 200th. Big deal.
Nice.
All right, let's start this thing so we can gush about Mr. Stashwick on the air.
We haven't started?
I mean, we haven't been recording, Phil?
Oh, man.
Well, we're recording. I guess I could throw it.
These were gems. I was giving you gems.
No, well, I guess let's just dive in. I can do it beginning later.
That's right.
For those of you listening who haven't figured it out yet, we are speaking to Mr. Todd Stashwick.
Hello.
Hello, sir.
Whose filmography I printed out today, 4 pages. I don't know when you get a chance to sleep, sir.
I will reimburse you for the ink.
Don't worry, I did it at work. Don't worry.
Okay, good.
I love how many fanboy type shows you've been a part of.
Yeah.
Hey.
Was it Buffy, Angel, Supernatural, Enterprise, Gotham?
Fanboy.
Hey, and Fangirl. I can think of. I didn't want to say nerd shows, but I guess that would imply the same thing. So
Fandom shows. Awesome fandom
Okay, there.
shows.
Basically,
fandom sounds good.
Basically, every Law and Order ever created, CSI Miami.
Actually, I don't think there was one Law and Order that slipped through my grasp.
Oh, Law and Order, was it Law and Order LA?
No, I haven't done that one, and I haven't done wasn't there like a court,
Yes.
like Neworth?
Oh.
But I have done the hat trick. I have the hat trick, which of that and the CSIs. I did
That's
the
awesome.
hat trick of CSIs.
Hey, and even Diagnosis Murder.
Oh,
Yes.
I was just talking about that. Yesterday because well, long story. I'm here in Atlanta working on a show called Complications for USA, and I'm working with Beth Riesgraf, who I had worked with on Leverage. Yes.
Yeah.
Leverage.
That's a good
And
show.
And one of the writers of Leverage was this guy named Jeff Thorne, and I'm Jeff on Diagnosis Murder. So we were playing this sort of 6 degrees of who knows who and why. And then the story about, like, I watched that Diagnosis Murder and I am horrible. And the reason is I could have, like, I was so distracted that I just wanted to like get through the scenes as fast as I could so that I could sit in my chair and just talk to Dick Van Dyke.
Oh, yeah. I can only imagine.
Oh, I was enraptured. I tried to get him to trip over for me, but he wouldn't do it.
Well, and then
That
you
would
got
have been
to
really cool.
you got to work with Tony Shalhoub too, and Monk. That's pretty cool.
I did. That was fun too. Yeah. There's been some.
Good.
I've been very fortunate to work with some pretty amazing people, and amazing to me. You know, like it's funny because one of the questions I get asked at a lot of conventions is, who have you been so excited to work with? And it's always asked by, fans of Supernatural, I think they expect me to be like Jensen Ackles, who I adore, but I'm always like Dick Van Dyke. And the crowd is like, I don't know who that is.
Well, they need to get a television education.
I know, like it was funny the other day. I said 20 years ago I was still grown up. And so, like, I'm not going to have we're like 19 and 20, and like our frame of reference is completely different.
I'll believe it. One thing I love about your work is if you look through Todd's IMDb, you've done a lot of sitcoms and a lot of dramas.
Yeah, it's weird.
You've been able to do both greatly. Is it one you prefer more?
You know what? They both have their benefits and deficits. I think. I mean, my background is I was a theater guy. But I had I went to college for theater, and then I did Second City in Chicago, and I was up for SNL in '95, and I thought that was going to be my trajectory. And so when I moved out to LA, I was I thought I was going to be a sitcom guy. I wanted to be Tom Hanks or Bill Murray, and then I tell you, you do one Buffy, and then boom, so I did. I was easily able to shroud both worlds because my background is in comedy, but then I was a theatrically trained actor, so the villainy roles sort of lent themselves to being 6'2" and with vague ethnic background and dark circles. So it has been. What do I prefer? I would say probably as an actor, the drama is more preferable because the characters arc and change through a season. Mm-hmm. On sitcoms, it's very much about kind of the theatrical gymnastics and the mathematics of making something work comedically, and the hours are a dream, and you never really get wet. Half-hour sitcoms are great for leading a normal existence because you're in at 9 and out at 3, except for shooting days, as opposed to it's 2:00 in the morning and I'm in the woods getting drenched,
saving the cheerleader.
Exactly. So the characters in drama tend to grow and arc and change, and there's a lot more nuance and layers to them, so they're a bit more of a challenge as an actor from an emotional standpoint. But I just love the mental gymnastics of figuring out how to make the comedy work. So I hope I never have to choose.
And you've done some voice acting too.
I've done some voice acting.
Yeah.
Cartoons on here.
I did the Cowardly Lion in the Tom and Jerry and the Wizard of Oz.
Well, and Phineas and Ferb.
And Phineas and Ferb. Absolutely.
Gotta love Phineas and Ferb.
Gotta love Phineas and Ferb.
How does the voiceover work? How does that differ from the live action stuff? Do you have to alter your approach any or?
Well, they're completely different disciplines, and my hat's off to the guys in the industry like the John DiMaggios and the Nolan Norths of the world that kind of crushed that realm. I am a dabbler in that realm. I mean, it's a different exercise. Often you're by yourself having to stand in front of a microphone and
Yep.
pretend that you're reacting to other characters that aren't in the room with you and kind of agenda the emotional stakes of the moment when it's just you, a music stand, a mic, and a director behind a window. So it's a completely different discipline, completely different.
Kind of like going back to your childhood.
What, being locked in a room with someone looking at you through glass?
And having to think of your imaginary friends, leads people
Exactly.
and react to
Exactly.
them.
Yes, wrestle with the voices in my head. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, to,
Now-
well, I was gonna say to stick with like the kind of the cartoon theme. I see from your bio you're in the comic books.
I love comic books. Yes, I actually have been collaborating on my own comic, web comic, for the last 4 years with an amazing writer artist named Calero, and the comic is called Devil Inside. And I was always reading comics, and so to have the opportunity to create my own has been a dream come true.
It sounds
That
sounds awesome. Yeah.
It's pretty amazing.
I
It's pretty amazing.
What, Todd, what made you want to become an actor? Like, what was that initial spark? What just made you say, like, this is the career path that I want to do?
I would always. It sounds, and it's an old story for a lot of people. I would have to take it back to being 8 years old and sitting in a movie theater and hearing John Williams' score like blare out the speakers and knock me on my ass watching Star Wars. And then because I think from that point forward, everything I did was so dedicated to pretending to be Han Solo and running my backyard with my cousin and playing Star Wars and just acting. And then the power of that a movie can do, that it can reach people. So much of my youth was spent doing that. Also, I wasn't a very athletic kid, so making people laugh was a big way to meet women. And and oddly, I met my wife because I was performing in the Second City, and she was in the audience. And so I was always drawing and doing something artistic. Then I hit high school and I was still always doing plays while I was doing art. I was possibly going to be a cartoonist, but that was so quiet and I couldn't take notes. I didn't like people giving me notes on my drawing because I'm like, that's the inside of my head. How do you know I'm doing it wrong? That's what I see it as, and so you're wrong. But I never had any problems taking direction because that was much more of a collaborative process and it was very social. And so I think around 16 or 17 was when I said, well, I will keep the drawing as a hobby and I will pursue the acting as a career.
You said you weren't that athletic as a child. You seem pretty athletic in that Gotham episode, the fight with Jim Gordon.
Yeah, well, as a kid, I entered high school at 4'11". So I was a squirt. And so funny sidekick kid that was, and that's how I met girls. And I didn't shoot up until my junior year of high school, but I was never into organized sports. I mean, in my later life, I started surfing and running and stuff like that, but those are very solitary. And now it's all maintenance after 25. So I have to go to the gym because my face is projected across television screens and I don't want to look at it. Otherwise I have to keep up with all these young bucks out there. But, and then, half of that stuff is a stunt guy making me look good. But I did go in for some fight choreography and I got to play with a samurai sword, which was pretty badass. And so some of those shots of me fighting, I would say this: if the shot was on me often, and the Jim Gordon's back was to us, that was probably his stunt double, and so I had no trouble waving a sword at the stunt double. If it was actually Ben, that wasn't me. I said I'm not proud. I'd rather have him safe than injured, so I'd rather have the stunt guy do the fights with that guy.
Yeah, That looks like a real fun thing to do, the fight scenes.
Really fun. Really.
So you said you were in the comic books. Were you familiar with this character before you went in for the role?
Which character?
The Mask. He kind of, I don't know if it's the same exact character, but people have compared him to Black Mask from the Batman comics.
Well, you can see. I mean, there's obviously parallels. The character's name is a little different than Roman.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm familiar with Black Mask, and so I knew the connection really well when I got the script, and it was very exciting to step into that role. Absolutely.
Because I think it would be great if they did like the comic and brought you back as like the major crime lord of the city.
I'll take it.
See, I look at Todd's character as being the precursor to what will become Black Mask. Like one of his minion men will be the Black Mask. That's how I look at it. Yeah. That's how I was looking at the character. Like he paved the way.
Your guess is as good as mine. I know my character's name was Richard Sionis, and I knew I wore a mask. Beyond that, I can't speak to his future or where it all goes. But I do know, obviously they were leaning hard on the legend of the Black Mask, obviously. But it was just called the Mask, I believe, in the episode.
Yeah.
So that was the next thing I was going to ask you is how much info do they give you when you're going in? Just like the name of the character and like the
you get the script and then whatever questions I have, I am more than willing. They are more than willing to answer if they have an answer. Because often, they are building a world, especially in a first season. So there's just some stuff that they may or may not have an answer for. But in terms of how much info I'm given the script, and then I'm given whatever answers that they choose to give me.
So you were familiar with the comics. What comics are you? Are you still in the comics? What are you reading?
Very much. I am reading. I always read Scott Snyder's Batman every month.
Oh yeah.
I'm very excited about the new Star Wars coming out. I read a lot of the Gotham themed comics, Batwoman, Batgirl, Detective. I like all those. I like Gotham City as a template for storytelling. I've always preferred Batman's world to the Superman's world. Perhaps because on some weird level there's a bit of wish fulfillment. You go, I could be that guy. I'll never fall to Earth from Krypton, but if my parents got shot in an alley and I was loaded, I might just be that guy. So yeah, I've always been a Batman fan, and I have a sick little collection of Batman statues and comics. I have my own comic book rack, and I get this. This is how I knew I married the right woman. When I got my own comic book rack, I was like, well, where should we put it? She's like, in the living room.
Oh.
And then when I got my big glass case for all my Batman statues, I'm like, where should this go? She's like, in the living room.
Oh, could she have a talk with my wife?
That's where my statues are.
That's where they belong.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's great. But
hey,
you
Phil,
mentioned
I feel sorry for you, man.
Oh, you don't have stuff in the living room. You have stuff in the living room. But Mr. Stashwick, you mentioned Star Wars.
Yes.
I see on your
Phil, we
what on your filmography it says something about you have a role in an upcoming Star Wars video game.
I do not have a role per se, but I am writing it.
Oh.
I'm co-writing it with Amy Hennig, who created the Uncharted franchise for Naughty Dog.
Very cool.
And
I was gonna ask a question about if you could be in any TV show or movie, which one would it be? But I think I kind of answered my own question right here.
Oh yeah.
Because I feel you would be like Star Wars.
Yeah.
That's
the world that, and it reaches such a deep place in me because again I was 8 in the summer of 1977, so you can imagine the imprinted duckling that I became.
I was the same.
Yeah.
That Imperial battle cruiser going across the screen, my jaw dropped. Yes.
It's as good as it gets, and I just wanted to be Han Solo for so long, and yeah, I would love to be in a film, but right now I'm kind of having a blast writing this game. I spent a few nights at Skywalker Ranch, and I get to spend a good deal of time in the bowels of Lucasfilm. Doing research and writing and working with those great people over there, and so it's I've wept in at Lucasfilm, or I've wept at Skywalker Ranch. It's just like it's one of those magical bucket list places.
Is the game based on the upcoming movie?
Hang on, I have to check on some snipers that are trained on me if I open my mouth.
That's what I was going to say. How much can you share with us? Probably not a lot.
It is based on Star Wars.
All right.
I really can't tell you anything.
Snipers,
That's cool.
lawyers.
Makes sense.
Trained snipers with the Lucasfilm logo on their
it's
jackets.
probably
and they have mouse ears as well.
probably Greedo.
Well, he's dead.
That's true.
I hate to break it to you.
I know, but you know. So have you auditioned for Doctor Who yet?
Oh, that would be a BBC thing, and I'm not in England enough to be a part of that cabal of actors. I would love to, but nobody's ringing my phone from beyond the pond.
Well, enough of them are coming over here. I would think some of us could go over there, you know?
Well, there's a reason that they're coming here, because they don't have very large film and television industry.
That's true. Very true.
Yeah. It's like if you've done, I mean, the fact that they're already using actors who have already done Doctor Who to play Doctor Who shows you how small their pool is.
Very true.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question. You said you were a big Batman fan.
Yeah.
If there was any Batman character that you would want to bring to life on screen or film or anything, what would be your dream role to do?
Within the Batman universe?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so funny because I've always been just drawn to the dynamic between Batman and Joker. That it would be a lot of fun to play the Joker, but it's been so well explored with what Heath did, and I think Jared is going to do such an interesting take on it as well. The Joker is a fascinating role for me. A deeper cut than that. I don't know. Hush would be pretty cool.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Hush would be pretty cool.
I like where your head's at.
Yeah.
But
I think Hush is a great character.
And if they did a Black Mask, if they did Romance in the films, that would be a lovely role to play as well.
I agree.
Oh, yeah. If they do Black Mask, they have to come to you first.
It's in my contract.
Uh-huh.
No.
But looking at your bio here, I saw that you did a couple years on the Conan O'Brien show.
Yeah, I was part of his stable of comedy players when I was living in New York for about 2 years. I would always get brought in. A lot of my friends from Chicago, Second City, and the improv community in Chicago went on to be really successful writers on that show. And so when I was living in New York, they would call me and say, hey, we've got a bit for you. So I would be in that studio 2 or 3 nights a week, filming some comedy bits for them over like a 2-year period.
That would be pretty cool.
It was really cool. It's like one of those.
one
of those jobs that was like being in the back lot of Warner Brothers, where you'd be there, and there'd be one guy dressed as an ant, and one guy dressed as an Amish, and then one guy dressed as Hitler, and then you see one of the writers like pick up a phone to the costume department and say without irony, "We need a baseball hat for the vampire." I think that was my single favorite moment. It was just so telling of what that show is.
I was going to say, I think that's really neat that you did Second City. A good friend of mine that was my college roommate just went there and just joined in starting
Oh, great.
out there this year. Yeah,
Right,
I'm really
yeah.
pumped for him. He's always been a big SNL guy.
Yeah, it's a great hothouse for comedy. It's a great place for young developing talent to really cut their teeth, because you're doing, like, I was doing shows on the road for 2.5 years and just grinding it out, and it's that 10,000 hours thing. From 23 to 27, I was out there just making the funny for the good people of America with some really talented people.
See, that's awesome. I think that's so cool you were able to do that. I wanted to ask. You're welcome. I wanted to ask, what's it like to be
Someone killing an animal?
My dog's crazy. She just heard we're house sitting. We're not house sitting. We're dog sitting my sister-in-law's dog.
Got it.
Downstairs. So my dog's all going crazy because she can hear her.
Everyone's excited to speak with you.
Exactly.
So just to be clear, no one's killing an animal.
No, she's here.
No.
Okay, good.
I wanted to ask, what's it like to be, an actor whose most of your stuff is guest roles, 1 episode, 2 episodes, other than when you did The Riches. What's it like being a guest appear compared to being on a series?
Well, I was having a brief chat with Kelly earlier. Well, a series regular is great because you know where your job is next week. When you play villains on TV shows as a guest star, you wind up dead or handcuffs, and so you're looking for a job next week. And so there's obviously a benefit to being a series regular. And you get to explore that long arc of how a character grows and changes, and the emotional exploration of that is amazing. The other side of the coin is being a guest actor. It's a lot like doing theater, where you get to go. I get to play different characters week to week. I get to explore a lot of different roles and play a lot of different types of people, and so that is really exciting. And then traveling to different cities is quite fun. So they both have their benefits. Obviously, a series regular role is more cush. Mm-hmm. So, when I had done The Riches, and I've done 19 television pilots, so they just haven't been picked up to series except for The Riches. So it's always a luck of the draw as to what's going to get picked up and what's going to go and what's going to stay and whatnot. So I think, preferable it would be to do a series regular role, just because you then kind of plant your roots and get in one place and make some good money and do that. In the meantime, there's nothing wrong with getting to meet a lot of different people and playing a lot of different roles.
I would think you could hone your craft better just from all the different roles you've played, instead of the same thing year after year.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, they both have their benefits. There's something really great about digging deep into a role over a few years and seeing how the writers really open that up. And if you look at the first few episodes of The Riches, what they did with Dale by the time we got to the middle of season 2, before it was yanked, they changed him a lot, and they found a lot of nuances and a lot of interesting things with him. So that really is, and there's something to be said about working with the same group of people to make something and build something as a whole. As a guest star, you're often coming into a group of people who it's their show, and they have a way of doing things, so you have to kind of get a lay of the land and adjust and figure it out. So yeah, it does require a completely different set of skills to make those calls and those adjustments as you go. That being said, I'm lucky to be doing all of it, whether I'm guesting or series regular. It's all a dream to be able to act for a living.
Mm. And then I see in 2012 you did a TV movie, How to Cheat on Your Wife.
It was actually a pilot. It was a
Okay.
pilot. Yeah, for AMC.
But it's just funny. It says the role you played was Taylor Swift.
Isn't that hilarious? Yeah, the joke was, it was an improvised pilot by this guy by the name of Rob Roy Thomas, who creates these lovely improvised shows. And the character that he came up with was this guy who was kind of a badass in high school. And then the part that I came up with was he was a roadie for Aha.
Oh, no.
He went on the road for like a decade, and he left the country, and he was this kind of badass. And he left the country, and he was this badass roadie. And then when Aha broke up, he came back to the States to find out that his name, which used to be synonymous with a badass, now is a running joke.
That's awesome.
I was gonna say this man could play any role. This 6'2" man played Taylor Swift in a.
No, that was the joke. There was one scene in the movie or in the pilot where the guys and we all kind of reunion because of a mutual friend of ours died, kind of like the Big Chill, and we find ourselves not having seen each other since high school. And then they're trying to make me feel better. And I'm like, I'm depressed because my name's Taylor Swift. And they're like, no, that's a badass name. I go, watch this. And we're in a bar and I go, hey, everybody, I'm Taylor Swift. And the entire bar laughs at me. But
I need to find this.
It was a fun gig. Steve Little from Eastbound and Down was in it. I forget. Great, funny guys. Yeah.
Now I gotta ask a question.
Yes.
Because this one, you got to work on a sitcom with someone I think is one of the funniest comedians I've heard, and I'd love to meet this person in real life as well. I just want to know, what was it like working on Rodney for your 2 episodes as Kirk? What was it like working with Rodney Carrington?
With Rodney himself?
Yeah.
Oh, he's great. He was lovely. You know, I mean, he was a funny, regular, nice guy. I had known Amy Peets, who was on that show, and I was playing a guy who was getting married to her. So it was another
hilarious.
Easy set to walk onto because I had some friends, and he himself was absolutely kind and lovely to me.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he's great.
I always tell my wife when we listen to him that I'm like, I want to meet that man. I think we would get along. And she's like, you probably would. But
yeah, he's great. He's just a regular dude, you know, super successful. Like self-made man. He would play like he was big. He's a big successful comedian.
Your role as Kirk was hilarious because it was a complete inverse everything else. Because you come in with your wedding plan and everything, like you're like the bride, and then it was hilarious.
Yeah, he was like Frasier. Yeah, he was a fussy kind of fuddy-duddy. He was great.
I just keep finding more shows on this super long list you've been on. I forgot he was on Heroes. That was the one I knew there was another fandom show that he was on, and it was Heroes. And I was like, there's something I was missing.
Save the cheerleader, save the world.
Yeah.
But even that and Star Trek Enterprise.
I was a Romulan disguised as a Vulcan on that show.
How many hours did that make us take?
Not much, because over your eyebrow, on the Vulcan eyebrows, they put a wig on you and then put the ears on. It wasn't terribly extensive. It wasn't like Angel, where they buried me from the shoulders up and arms down, or that was Buffy, actually. And then Angel, it was full head prosthetic. But yeah, the Vulcan was rather quick, and they have it down. Those guys know how to whip you into Vulcan shape in no time.
I guess they must have it down to a science. Cause
Zoom, yeah. And that was fun, because that was one of those, like Gotham, like being a fan, growing up watching Star Trek and being a Batman fan. There's and a Star Wars fan. I've had moments in my life where I pinch myself because I'm standing there in full Vulcan regalia, holding my lirpa, standing on a set that is sanctioned to be Vulcan. You know, like this has the USDA approval of Vulcanism. And it's like when I was shooting the scene with those guys in the cages on Gotham, I just was like, I'm in Gotham City. I'm in Gotham City. Like, for all intents and purposes, it's not an amusement park. It's not pretend. Like, nope, this is deemed Gotham City. And I was so happy.
I know you weren't even like an extra or something. You were like a badass in Gotham. How?
I'm in Gotham. I was in Gotham City. You know, it's again. I've had moments like that where like on Skywalker Ranch, I'm up in the archives, standing next to the Ark of the Covenant. Like that's I didn't look in it though. I kept my eyes shut. But but I'm like I'm standing here with the Ark of the Covenant. Yeah.
Did you find the lightsaber? Did you find you a lightsaber when you were there?
Did I find my well, they're all tagged and sitting on a shelf, and it's a no touchy policy. So I got to see Luke's lightsaber from A New Hope, and it's next to Obi-Wan's, and it's next to his from Jedi, and then all of them on the way down, and then we're handed these surgical gloves, and we put them on, and they put down these big folders, and you open them up, and inside the folders is all the original Ralph McQuarrie art and Joe Johnston drawings, and I'm like holding them one at a time, and that's when I started weeping, and I said I gotta back off because I'm gonna cry on the McQuarrie art, and it'll smear.
Aren't those in Warehouse 13?
What color would your lightsaber be?
What color would mine? Probably blue. Probably blue.
With what handle?
That's the first lightsaber I ever saw and heard was the blue one.
What handle would you like to have?
What kind of handle?
Yeah. See, I always thought Qui-Gon had a nice handle.
Yeah.
But I like the blue saber. So I'd have Qui-Gon's handle with a blue saber.
The blue saber blade is imprinted in my memory. Like that's the lightsaber, because again, it's the first one I ever saw.
Yep.
It was when he turns it on in Ben's homestead, and then I'm like, well, that's it. That's a lightsaber right there. And I bought at the Lucasfilm store. I bought one of the Force Effects Luke's saber that sits on my wall in my house, and whenever I sit down in my office to just before I get to writing, working on the game, I will turn it on and wave it around, and I'll blast the John Williams score to just put myself back into that 8-year-old place before I dive into this daunting task. Just go, no, Todd, you've been making up Star Wars stories since you were a kid. Just breathe.
If you ever get a chance
did you buy one for your wife?
No. She's a Dune person.
Over Star Wars?
Over Star Wars, yeah.
I'd say it would be awesome to get your wife.
Star Wars, but she's like, she has read every Dune book. I'm sorry, Kelly, you were going to ask me a question.
I said if you ever get the chance to go hear the Boston Pops John Williams conducting and get to hear the themes, do it. It's an experience I will never forget.
I will bet. Yeah.
He did them all.
Of course he did. It's just, yeah. Yeah, it hits you where you live.
Yeah.
We took a thing at work. Everyone's talking about their favorite musical artists, and I put down as one of mine. I was like, John Williams. I was like, the man scored my childhood.
Yep.
And I was like, Star Wars, Superman, Jurassic Park, Home Alone, Harry Potter, Jaws, Indiana Jones. I'm like, and then all of a sudden, other people are like, yeah, you're right.
He also did Lost in Space.
Yes, he did.
Wow.
Yes, he did.
The TV series?
Yep. There were two separate theme songs for that show, and John Williams wrote them both. One of them goes like this. You know the one I'm talking about?
Yep.
And then there's the other one that goes. And he wrote both of them.
Yep.
And now you have to pay for licensing if you broadcast.
I got to see him. They flew him into Interlaken when I was there in high school.
Nice.
And, yeah, it was the experience of a lifetime.
I'll bet. Yeah, it's. again, it hits me where I live.
But you were talking about the writing for the Star Wars game. What are the differences between writing for a video game and like writing like a script or for the comic books?
Well, they're all different processes, and they all ask different things of you. Essentially, the beginning process is the same whether you're writing a screenplay or a teleplay or even a comic book. You got to break it down into your major story beats and into your act structure just to see what the overarching story is that you want to tell. And then, for Devil Inside, we do it once a week as a 5-panel thing for free. And that has its own constraints, because it's like, did I just say constraints? I meant constraints. Because I just decided to put the weirdest emphasis on the stupidest part of the word. It has its own constraints. I don't know what I became. Anyway, but I digress. So we have to, in 5 frames for the comic, go, here's kind of what happened last week, here's new information, and here's a cliffhanger so that you want to read next week. So that's its own thing. But I break the story for that for the whole year's worth of comic strips, comic strips. I'm going to start putting emphasis on the wrong parts of all my work. So we break the story for the whole thing, and then one script a week have to spoon it out. Now, for a screenplay, you do an outline and you break down the whole story and you break it down into your act structure, and then you turn the outline into a treatment and the treatment into a screenplay. For the video game, it's very similar. The first part is very similar because we're breaking the whole story of the game. Talking a 12, 13, sometimes 20-hour experience. And so doing a game is a lot like being in pre-production, production, and post-production all at the same time. It's a much more fluid, much more evolving process. So it's not like I write some 400-page script and go, all right, kaboosh, let's make a game. It's a little different than that.
But the comic, probably your one big love, because that's what comes straight from your mind. You don't have to talk to Lucas or anyone else, probably, right?
What's the question?
Is your favorite project the comic book itself, because that is like your pet, that comes straight from your mind? Because with the video game...
You know what? I don't make me choose. I couldn't tell you, because we had Dennis Calero and I we had optioned Devil Inside. UCP optioned that comic, and we were going to, and we pitched it around to make it a live action TV series. And at the time, Walking Dead had not quite hit, as well as American Horror Story was just premiering, so people weren't ready to take a complete gamble on a action horror driven show that was much more of a cable type series, like a Breaking Bad, but with demons. And so that rolled into a blind script deal, and we sold a space show called Clandestine to the Sci-Fi Channel, and we developed that for a year and a half with an amazing writer. He was our executive producer, a man by the name of John Scheiben. And so we wrote that for a year and a half, and then we lost our development executive. I say it like we lost. He just was no longer the development executive. It's not like he went away. He didn't pass away. So our script just sort of gets lost in the shuffle, as these things do. But I learned a ton doing that. So they all have their joys and their discoveries and their challenges. So sometimes having to operate within the confines of script notes and whatnot is great, because I learn a lot more about it's a bit baptism by fire. With the comic, yeah, I mean, it is pure and unfiltered Stashwick, Calero. But I gotta say, writing for Star Wars is pretty darn good. Like, it's pretty cool. I can't complain. it's really exciting, and and I'm humbled, and I'm getting to work and collaborate with some amazing people. Like I've had great conversations with Dave Filoni, who created Clone Wars with Lucas, and working on Rebels, and Pablo Hidalgo, who's the kind of the keeper of the keys of the canon over there, and so it's pretty great.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And you're all, and I guess you've been making you can make appearances at cons and stuff. Are you making any con appearances in the next couple months?
None are planned. I did a lot of cons this year. I did a lot of originals cons. I did like Dallas and Chicago and New Jersey, and then I went to Birmingham, England, and appeared at the Vampire Diaries Original Con there. And then I do Comic-Con, and I did WonderCon. No, I didn't do WonderCon. I attended WonderCon as a fanboy, and then I was at the Kamikaze with Devil Inside. So I bring myself to San Diego. Like Dennis and I go there, and we have a booth there. All the originals ones were invites, and right now I have nothing officially lined up as far as that goes.
You heard it here first, folks. Get your invitations out.
If I'm free and if I'm not working and I can do it, it's always a really fun thing to do. Really fun. Hang on. That's my wife calling me. Hang on.
Hey, that's all good.
Sorry about that.
Oh, look at him
that's
rubbing
fine.
it in our faces, Mr. Star Wars.
Yeah, surprise, surprise that my ringtone is John Williams.
Yeah.
I'm sad. I'm telling you, it's a sickness.
Actually, I set the Jurassic Park theme of John Williams as a ringtone for one of my
Nice.
calls.
I have a former spouse
So,
whose
agreed.
ringtone is the Imperial March, so, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
My wife, Todd, I'll tell you that my wife, when we got married,
Yeah.
she had the preacher bring me in and then hand me a red lightsaber and had the Imperial March for me to walk down the aisle before she came in. And she had it all set up.
Whoa. That is
Yep.
awesome.
The only thing that we did, she couldn't find my helmet, my Vader helmet, because I had it packed up because we were moving into our new place. And she was going to have it for me.
When you were standing there, did you say, "Join me and we'll rule the galaxy"?
If the timing had been better, I would have. But it was, I walked in and then they did the processional.
Nice. We got married in the middle of Times Square.
That's awesome.
It was awesome.
You win.
It's not a contest.
But Mr. Stashwick, is there any shows on the air today that you haven't been on that you would like to be on?
I'd love to do Walking Dead. That'll be
yeah.
fun.
I can see you on
I
there.
would like to. I would love to do a Mad Men. That'd be cool. I would like to do. Let's see, any of the new ones. Like, I'd love to be on Arrow or Flash. Let's see. I would say Gotham, but I did that. Constantine looks fun. I'd love to go back and do Supernatural again. I love those guys. It was fun hanging out with those guys.
You should try it, because in the past 2 seasons, they've brought back characters from earlier seasons to play different roles. And I have my theory about that.
Yeah.
But they brought back the Striga, and the guy that played Benny was another episode earlier in the series. So you should come back as a new character.
I'll do it. Who do I talk to?
I don't know
right
that.
now-
You know more.
Not us.
You know better than I do.
I've got. I'm very excited because January 12 Monkeys premieres, and I've got a really fun role on that show.
I'm marking that down.
Yeah, that's a really fun. It was a fun role. The scripts are amazing. I think it's gonna be a hit. And then I'm having a lot of fun this week. I'm in Atlanta working on a show called Complications for USA, with created by Matt Nix, who did the shows Burn Notice that I worked on and The Good Guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's been a nice little reunion. I got to work with pre-draft yesterday who I'd done leverage with. And so it's been a hoot.
And USA is so great about promoting their shows, too. It was
Yeah,
wonderful.
they're good. Yeah, they get behind them.
Yeah.
That is awesome. I saw you were on Psych, which was one of my favorite shows.
Yeah, Frank Jim Ogletree.
Oh.
Yeah, it was fun.
You've done it all, man. You've been in all kinds of great stuff.
That's
You think about it, like you look at all of his comedy, you look at all of his drama, like he's done big shows and he's done so much. It's amazing. Like the resume speaks for itself.
Well, thank you. That is very kind of you to say. Like I said, I'm very blessed to get to do the thing that I would do for free.
Don't tell them that.
Oh, my agent would listen. No, but
Phil, edit that.
But
Edit it out.
Like I said, it's all the stuff that I was doing in the backyard and in high school and college and in Chicago. I had a theater company of my own, and it's just something that I just would be doing anyway. And I've managed to flip all into paying me for it.
That's what I got to learn how to do. How to get paid for the stuff I like doing.
Just keep doing it. Just keep doing it. Eventually somebody will go, hey, you're the guy that does that. Here's money.
Yeah.
That's what you do is just like awful, like skin rabbits or something. Oh, no, you know what? Somebody would pay you.
Gotham writers, we need the mask back.
I'm saying bring him on
those
Flash
guys
Arrow. Make him Black Mask on Arrow.
Yeah, there you go.
There we go. Put him as Black Mask on Arrow.
They take all the other Batman stuff. Why not?
Exactly. Boom. I solved it.
Done. Problem solved.
So, do we have anything else to bother Mr. Stashwick with?
I was going to ask if he has any plugs for where his fans can find him on social media, website. Anything where people can get in touch with.
Well, I am. If you go to toddstashwick.com, you can read Devil Inside there, and then there's also links to my Facebook page and my Twitter, which is just at Todd Stashwick, and Facebook I have an actor page, just Todd Stashwick. It's just my name spelled how it sounds. TODDSTASHWICK, and that's where you can find me, and I'm pretty chatty. I'm pretty chatty on the social media.
That's a very good thing.
Yeah,
But
because what I realize is like I'm a huge fan of stuff. And so I'm like one story real quick before we wrap it up, just to show you what a nerd I actually am. I was doing a film that I was working with Ewan McGregor, and so we're out and about in Santa Fe. I'm hanging out, like he and I are getting on. We're having a blast. We decided to go out, get some lunch and hang out in Santa Fe. And I walk into this clothing store, a small little like cowboy clothing store, and I round the corner and there's Katie Sackhoff shopping, and I lose it. Like I don't know where to put myself. I'm paralyzed with geek fanboy moment. Like I'm here with Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Starbuck is bringing me to my knees. It was like, how is this my life? Like I couldn't talk to her, yet I'm going, we got to get out of here, Ewan, because I can't handle this. It's funny.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm a nerd boy at heart, and so that's why I'm really excited and blessed to be making the kinds of product that I would be consuming anyway.
But yes, we're a bunch of nerds here. Anytime you want to join us, we would be more than honored.
Well, thank you for inviting me. This has been a hoot.
Everyone, Mr. Todd Stashwick.
Cheers.
Thank you, Todd.
Rock out. And hard. Bye, everybody.
Good night.
Bye, Todd.
Good
Thank
night.
you very much.
You.
May the force be with you.
Oh, Well, what did everyone think of that interview? I can tell you is that me, Kelly, and Tyler had a lot of fun. I hope Mr. Stashwick had a lot of fun. It was a great conversation. And that was it for this week. Our social media, which we want to hear your thoughts on the great interview. Our email is beforethebat@gmail.com. Facebook is beforethebat, the Gotham Podcast. Twitter is @beforethebatpod. Instagram, beforethebat_flasharrowpod. Our Tumblr is beforethebat/flasharrowpod. And you can find all of us on Twitter. I am Nightwing PDP. You can find Tyler at JTyPatrick. And you can find Kelly on Twitter and basically any social media platform at Supersquint, SUPERSQUINT. And that's it all for this time. Tune in next week. We're going to have another extra special pod for you. So tune in, and it won't be this format, but it'll be something special. So until next week, you know what we all say. Same bat time, same bat channel, the Gotham Podcast.